Austin here on the Grass Road Homestead. Today's project, we are going to be building some kitchen cupboard doors. After being here since last August, we've got the lower cupboard doors done, and today we're going to be putting up some cupboard doors on those ones you can see behind me, and they will end up looking, hopefully, a lot like the ones we have down below. Excuse the kitchen mess. It's active home here. It's a pretty simple design. What I'm going to do is we are going to, I don't know. The design is pretty simple. We're going to cut 1x4s down to 1x3. Then I cut a groove down the middle all the way down. I do that on the side pieces and the top and the bottom pieces. Then I will cut down the shoulders on these boards down so it fits together. I'll cut down a piece of 1/4 inch, I think it's tile backer actually. And then I'll slide it in, make sure it fits well. And then we glue up the edges and clamp them and let that dry. And then you have a door. It's a very simple design, but it works and it's very economical for when you're just starting out. So yeah, let's get to it. Step one is to clean up the workspaces a little bit. As you can see, it's not too horrible, but there's a little bit of mess out. It seems that whenever you're doing stuff just seems to accumulate. So we'll get this cleaned up and then we'll get busy. All right, now that we've got a little bit more cleaned up, you guys might not be able to tell too much of a difference, but I can. And while those workbenches over there look nice, let's not look over there at that work table. Just real quick, I highly recommend when you're going to be using power tools, you have some good hearing protecting to protect your ears, and a respirator, especially to keep sawdust out. With my current setup, there's a lot of sawdust, and due to the wiring situation here, I can run either my power tools or my shop vac. I can't run both at the same time, so I usually make the sawdust, wear a respirator, and then clean it up afterwards. Your lungs and your nose will thank you. So just real quick, here's what I got: my parts list cut out with the different diagrams, the size openings. Then because if we have a 9x27 opening, the door is going to be 10x28 with the length of the boards, and then how big the middle piece will have to be as well. I've got some workspaces cleared off so that I have enough room to work. It's hot out here, so of course make sure you have your hydration. And then I'll get my table saws set up and we will be in business. So come along with me and let's have some fun. Our first cut will be at 28 inches. We're going to come down here and mark on both sides of the tape measure. I really like to use a framing square then to mark all the way across the wood. And I'm not going to worry about pencil marks being up on here too much because all of this will be adjusted. It's a little hard to do this one-handed. But all of this, the first 1/2 inch, will be cut off when we make the shoulder joints, which is fantastic because some of this wood from the local box store has some unsightly paint on there. I don't really want to show up, but all of that will come off. All right, as I was cutting out my wood, I realized my math wasn't mathing. I had forgotten that I needed to add in some space so that there was enough overhang so the shoulder will fit in the joint right there. But this is what it'll look like. Well, this is how it'll be laid out once it's all ready. So from that one 8-foot board, I have the wood for one of the cupboard doors and a vertical for the next. So now we're gonna take these down to 3 inches wide, and then we'll put a groove down the middle for the middle part. I like to keep all the small pieces of wood to see if I have the table saw set to the right width. That should be about 3 inches. We are gonna cut and see if it matches up. There are the results. That's pretty good. So now that it's all dialed in, we'll get the rest done up. Well, I got all the boards cut, so I should have all the frames for the cupboard doors cut and out here. Next step will be cut these boards down to 3 inches wide, and one nice benefit of that is if there's defects, that's going to be within the first, I think it's 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. That will get cut right out, which means that the wood that I can get at the hardware store that isn't maybe as nice will give me a better product. All right, so in just a minute, you're going to see the next step. All right, we got all the side pieces cut down to the right size. So now I get on taking the tile backing and cutting that down to the right dimensions. We're gonna do that with a little handsaw and with the table saw. Table saws are fantastic, but you know, be careful because they like to eat fingers. All right, let's get to it. Now that we have our 1/4 inch plywood ripped down to the right width, we will get it down to the right heights, or right heights, right widths. Either way, we're cutting it down. Edit. Now that I have these ripped down to the right height, we'll get them cut down to the right widths, and then we'll start putting things a little bit more together. Got all the plywood cut, and if I did my math right, all of those should fit perfectly inside the casing, the frames that I'm building. So the next step is to put a groove right down the middle of this using the table saw. I think you could probably use a router or something else if you wanted to, but I've done it before the table saw, so I'm going to stick with what I know. And yeah, I'll show you the next step when it's a little bit more set up. So 4 passes later on each of these, they look like this. I'll narrow the width of it, of the cutting passes, and we'll get some more. All right, that part's done. I personally think this is one of the more satisfying parts of the build. So when you get to break out all the little leftover ridges. And I could go backward and clean this up on the saw, but I think this is kind of fun. Then we'll clean that up with a chisel. Now, after some trial and error, we have all our pieces cut. Here's the bottom parts. We've got the shoulders cut. We've got a groove cut on top and on bottom. The side pieces, we also have a groove cut all the way down. So now, in theory, these should fit together nicely. The joints are a little bit looser than I'd like, but hey, there's glue for that. Now, this part will slide in there like that. And the whole thing should fit together. Just like that. Hopefully the mathed right and it all fit nicely. In theory. After some trial and error, I got all the pieces cut. We've got a shoulder on the bottom, a groove down the middle, shoulder on the top. Side pieces just have a groove down the bottom. Those fit in there like this. The back will slide in like that. We'll put the top piece on top. I'll glue the edge joints. And that is roughly what it looks like. Simple, Easy to do. And yeah. And then we're just going to rinse and repeat all the way through the stack. And this is why dust collection matters. It's also a great fire starter, and it's dusty, and yep, we'll get that cleaned up here in a minute too. And there they are. Now all I have to do is clean up the ends with a chisel. And then they'll be ready to put them together and glue them up. Okay. How close can you get? 2 is enough. So we're just going to clean up these edges with a chisel a little bit. Do that with all 50 million pieces. And we'll see how they fit. And if they're too tight, we can always come back and take off a little more material. We'll go from there. I've got these all cleaned up now, and now it's time to start dry fitting them with the rest of the pieces. And if there's a high spot, I'll find it and trim it up, and then gluing them up. Put a little glue on both sides. Just like that. That in. I'm not going to say how long it took before I figured out to use clamps to hold the boards upright.
I don't think I could use this.
Probably a better way to spread it. You know, whatever.
It's birthday then. You just have to do it. How's it cutting one of these? Wait, you should try cutting one.
This part.
And see how it would be. Doesn't matter where.
Down.
Aiden, I don't think you should use this.
I didn't cut this quite big enough.
No, I don't.
So there's a little bit more of a position. Just right.
I don't know if these are close. Yeah. Let's see if I can cut. You do. Damn. I could use your help. I could do this. Yeah, I could do this. I just need to try.
These joints.
Okay, I know where I need to cut.
So there
I mean,
is
you
that.
just cut it for me. Aiden, I need to have it on the ground. You liked it? Just put that on it. What are you making?
To make this even more fun, each of these
That's an
joints has
avocado
to be
case.
individually adjusted.
Aiden, these I don't
Because
think
the
they're
wood moves.
low. Okay. It'll be over. I think we need to cut this on the ground.
So now,
I need to use this. Too bad. Too bad, so sad. Draw all the way through. Is that going to be a model or a toy? I'm making a toy, a wooden one. So you have to be beautiful with it.
you go back through and you clean up the glue. And that's that. Ta-da! They're done. Kitchen cupboards are finally done. It only took about, let's not say how long, 6+ months. Which means now we can sand the floors.